Back now with a disturbing legacy, boarding schools created to forcibly assimilate Native American children. Canada, which had a similar system, pledged billions in reparations. Now the U.S. is under pressure to act. Cynthia McFadden has our NBC News investigation.
Tonight, a scene more than a century in the making, a search for the bodies of Indigenous children, perhaps long hidden in this basement at the Red Cloud Indian School in South Dakota. This is the first public excavation of its kind in the country.
I've heard several stories to that. To me, they're heartfelt.
The only Native American leading this kind of work, Marcia Small.
I get really emotional in these places. The work we do is sacred.
Small uses ground-penetrating radar to locate remains of children, forcibly taken from their families, many abused. One published report says 40,000 children are believed to have died at the schools beginning in the 1800s. Surrounded by the deep canyons of the Badlands, Red Cloud sits on the Pine Ridge Reservation. It is one of the poorest places in America. One expert says more than 100,000 children attended the federally created schools, as one U.S. general put it, to kill the Indian and save the man, as this 1929 newsreel suggests.
They are being rapidly brought from their state of comparative savagery and barbarism to one of civilization.
89-year-old Basil Braveheart went to Red Cloud, then known as Holy Rosary Mission School, beginning in the 1930s. He remembers fearing one of the Catholic priests who would come into the dorms at night.
For what purpose?
Looking for little boys.
To have sex with, presumably.
That's it. I became a shallow breather, thinking that if I don't breathe loud, I might disappear.
Alex Whiteplume also experienced life at the schools. A former president of the tribe, he confronted the Assistant Secretary for Indian Affairs, Brian Newland, himself a Native American, when he showed up unexpectedly.
There were a lot of pleasantries until you stood up.
Well, I had to correct the history. What we're sitting on here is Roman Catholic Church land, stolen in our treaty territory. And then the Assistant Secretary of Interior saying, we're going to bring you money, we're going to bring your language back. That just ticked me off something awful. And so he should face up to the truth, and America should face up to the truth.
So you heard a former president of this tribe say, we want to hear the word genocide.
The purpose of these schools was forcible assimilation to separate Indian people from their lands. There hasn't been one single Indian person in this country who's not living with the impacts of and the legacy of these boarding schools.
It's hard to know what genocide is if this isn't it.
Again, we have to tell the whole story, and we've got to paint the full picture and acknowledge our own role. And we're at step one.
But while Braveheart tells us he would like the U.S. government to apologize, he finds peace in his grandmother's words.
The wisdom that she taught me was to forgive the unforgivable.
Whiteplume sees it very differently.
I will not accept a cheap apology. America never owned up to the genocide. We should deal with it.
So far, no human remains have been found at Red Cloud, which has launched a truth and healing effort. And the Jesuits who run the school are helping to fund Small's work. Community members we talked to say they will not rest until the whole truth, whatever it might be, is known. Cynthia McFadden, NBC News, Pine Ridge Reservation, South Dakota.